Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. Right, ji, as is our dastoor in this class, we'll start with the reflash or throwback on our previous lecture. We tried exploring various forms of ownership in our last discussion, and the three that we identified as the main ones were sole proprietorship, partnership, and corporation. Quick one, ji, the advantages of sole proprietorship.
So you can have all the income.
You can have all the income, okay. Easy to create. Decision making authority is with you. What else? See? Profit incentive, that is already been. No legal restrictions, extraordinary documentation is not required there. And it is easy to discontinue. Disadvantages, see? Quick one. Unlimited personal liability. Feeling of isolation, you are on your own when it comes to the stress side of the business. Lack of continuity is there. Limited access to capital. I'm sure you guys have prepared very well for the quiz. Limited skill set is another issue. Partnership, G. What are the major clauses that should be included in partnership agreement? It should be there. उसमें क्या लिखना है? Signatory of the checks, contribution, उसके against, division of labor, division of profit. Next to kin जो है, that needs to be identified how the conflicts are going to be handled.
And if you sell the business, who will be authorized to handle this?
How the sale of the business or even an individual's stake would be handled, how the valuation would be done, वो सारे मामलात किस तरह से होंगे. I guess we missed one thing as of how to discontinue altogether that partnership agreement. ये चीज़ एक ज़हन में रखें. Irrespective of what contract you come into, be it partnership deed or any other contract, the final clause of the agreement has to be how to nullify that agreement. So that is again something that must be included in the partnership agreement. Advantages?
Easy to establish.
Just like sole proprietorship, it is not that difficult. Complementary skills of the partners. What else? See? Possibly larger pool of capital as compared to sole proprietorship.
If you want to expand the business and you do not have money, you can add a new partner.
So you can add another partner if required. And in that case, we draft a new partnership agreement that would acknowledge the contribution of the new participants. Low taxation as compared to corporation.
Easy distribution of profit.
Easy distribution, and there is no limit as of on what proportion you have to distribute the profit. Disadvantages, Mahad, क्या है partnership के? Disadvantages of partnership. You have made us believe that you are in partnership agreement for your gold business. So divide हो जाते?
मतलब जो आपको प्रॉफिट हो रहा है वो मतलब
That is to be shared. Okay.
सेकेंडली अगर भी आपका ऐसा आइडिया जो आपको लगता है कि आप सक्सेसफुल होगा लेकिन आपका पार्टनर मतलब वो अपने पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से सोच रहा है उसको नहीं लगता तो वो
Conflict could arise. Conflict could arise. ठीक है. और
सेकेंडली ये कि बहुत ज़्यादा मतलब किसी तरह की चीज़ों में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होता है कि किसी और एक बंदा अगर छोड़ना चाह रहा है फॉर एग्जांपल दूसरा बंदा कहता है कि मैं विड्रॉ कर रहा हूं नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन योर तो उससे
valuation of the business in that process becomes very difficult, and it's not that easy and comfortable. Okay. Unlimited liability of journal partner, limited partners. Good. Then the third one is corporation, and we identified two major: publicly held and privately held. Publicly held are the ones जिसके shares are being traded in the stock exchange. Privately held would be the one जो कि small group of people own करते हैं. And the best part about being an owner in corporation is limited liability. लेकिन the major challenge is double taxation and lots of documentation that is required by the Securities and Exchange Commission. That is the watchdog of corporate sector in Pakistan. High taxation as compared to partnership and sole proprietorship, and it is hard to develop as well because it requires expertise of various individuals and who come from different various area of background.
So you have to keep 51% of share within your family.
It doesn't have to be. I was actually giving that example to tell you that since our business volume is so small that if the international investors come down, they can easily buy that much of chunk. For us it is huge, for them it may not be. It's for that reason that in Pakistan, families tend to keep the 51% share. It is not mandatory. But the person who actually enjoys the ownership of 51% would be the one who will actually be managing the business. Right, Ji, today we are going to move forward and going to discuss if this works. Yeah. Franchising. And our focus will be to first understand and define franchising, understand various benefits and drawbacks of getting a franchise. Thirdly, what could be the right way of buying franchise, what could be the decision criteria on which we should be evaluating whether to go for that franchise or not, and outline the major trends that are shaping franchising. I'm sure this word is not unfamiliar anymore. Franchise is something that we get to hear every now and then, particularly when we go to marketplace. Okay, a system in which semi-independent business owners, that would be the franchisees, the ones who take franchise, pay fee and royalty to parent company, that being the franchisor who is giving out the franchise in return for the right to become identified with its trademark, to sell its product and service, and often to use its business format and system. So wherever you see the franchise agreement or arrangement, you can expect two parties to be there. One would be your franchisee, and the other one would be franchisor. And they are engaged in an exchange arrangement. And what do they exchange? Franchisee क्या दे रहा है जी franchisor को? Fee and royalty, against which the franchisor allows the franchisee to use its trademark, sell its products, and even have the whole business format. Everybody knows what trademark is, brand. We have already discussed that in bits and pieces. Products or services, and whatever products or services the franchisor deals, you get this right to sell them with the trademark of the franchisor. Third one is business format. What could be business format?
How the sales are going to be done?
Sorry?
How the sales are going to be done?
How the sales are going to be done?
How the particular product is prepared? That's
That's standard quality standard.
Because the McDonald's going to be the price the same price.
Here, let me give you an example. It would hopefully help you understand this concept. Here, irrespective of what KFC outlet we go in, we tend to get this standardized kind of ambience. We tend to get this standardized receipt. If you go to the outlet in F6 supermarket, if you go to, let's say, Centaurus, you get to see the similar color scheme, similar kind of furniture, right? This is the business format. McDonald's has got its own exclusive business format. Talk about shoe outlets, talk about clothing outlets. You get to see the similar format of the same franchisor wherever you go. So franchisor gets you to, or allows you to use its trademark, trade in its products or service, and in some cases it could be the business format as well. And I'm saying in some cases. Exceptions. Have you seen When was the last time when you visited service outlet? Service shoes?
Sir, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago? Okay. I'm sure you might have come across the Caterpillar shoes being sold on service store. Or if you visit Bata, you may come across a corner that is exclusively dedicated for Nike shoes. Right? Now, the store carries the name of Bata. The whole ambience business format is the one that is provided by Bata, yet they are selling shoes manufactured for Nike. Now, in this partial arrangement, the partial franchising, Nike has allowed Bata to use its trademark and sell its products while not giving or authorizing it to use its whole business format. If you go to Nike outlets, exclusive Nike outlets, again you will get to see the standardized business format. So franchising का ये मतलब नहीं कि it has to be all out full set of business format plus product plus branding. It could be done in partial formats as well. So these are the benefits that the franchisee is going to extract. First bit is the franchise fee, and it usually runs in millions. Right? Could be 5 million, 6 million. I can recall a student of mine who did his MBA a few years back. He went for opening this franchise of Metro shoes, and it costed him back in 2012 or 13 around 6 million rupees, 60 lakh rupees. But it was a huge outlet that was established on 2 big shops, and their arrangement was 65-35, whereby the revenue was split in 2 parts, 65% being going to the franchisor, and this chap would get the 35% out of it. Now, fee is something that you pay upfront at the time you get the franchise. Royalty is the bit of your income or revenue that you have to pay to the franchisor on ongoing basis, on perpetual basis. So as long as you're keeping that franchise, right, you will be paying a bit of your revenues to the franchisors, and that would be called what? Royalty. No. Why are we going to go to get a franchise? Because it is an established business with well-renowned. We are supposing that we are not going to get any, or we are not going to go for any franchise. We will go for the well-established one in which we have some kind of trust. तो उसमें आप क्या elements ले रहे हैं? You know that trademark is well-renowned, right? Their products are proven products. And thirdly, since they have been successful in running that franchise in various other locations, it is anticipated that yes, it is worthwhile paying the fee upfront to get the whole model redone for you. Rather than, जी, the,
सर जो पिछली बात आपने बिजनेस फॉर्मेट वाली की कि इसमें बिजनेस फॉर्मेट सिर्फ ऑप्शनल है, क्योंकि अगर प्रोडक्ट्स और ट्रेडमार्क नहीं होगा तो फिर तो फ्रैंचाइज में कोई
concept ही नहीं ना.
बिजनेस फॉर्मेट इज ऑप्शनल.
Option, yeah. But usually people go for full-fledged business formats. It's that business to business, big businesses are the ones who go for this partial arrangements. Royalty? But let's say I want to get a franchise of Mobile Link. And I'm just assuming that these days in my locality, for instance, since there is no other outlet of Mobile Link, so they are giving out this franchise opportunity. So they will first ask me, and this is a fictitious number, let's say for 7 million, that I have to pay 7 million upfront, and after that my application would be approved. Done, 7 million gone, and let's assume that franchise is established now and I'm running it, and let's say I'm making 500,000 rupees revenue on that outlet. Out of that 500,000 monthly income or revenue, I have to pay a bit to the franchisor. That's the royalty. जी
सर अगर फी आप स्टैंडर्ड प्राइस से आपको पे कर देते हैं लेकिन रॉयल्टी आपको इतनी नहीं होती तो आपका तो लॉस होगा।
See, this is at the end of the day, it's a business. We are not getting employed by them. So the royalty is going to depend upon the volume of the business. If the volume is low, the percentage that the company is going to take away is also going to be low. Let's say if you are not making 500,000, you are making only 100,000, so the company is going to take 35,000 out of it. If you are making 500,000 or 2 million, so accordingly the percentage share of the company would increase. It is more or less a very fair deal, to be honest. And this is a format that has been tested so many times throughout the world, and it usually turns out to be good. So franchisee gets the right to use all of the elements of fully integrated business operation. The major thing that franchisee pays for is the experience that the franchisor has in that industry. And the question before going for getting a franchise that every entrepreneur must ask is that what can a franchise do for me that I cannot do for myself? Benefits ji. Let's take example of a restaurant. If some entrepreneur wishes to start a restaurant, we are assuming that he has two choices. One is that he can exclusively start on his own, and the other one is, let's say, going for a franchise model. If he is not experienced in that particular industry, इसका मतलब क्या है कि he will be taking huge risk since he does not understand the dynamics, the management, the inputs, the output of that particular business. Uske against, if he goes for the franchise model, in that case the franchisor is going to train him first as on how to handle the business. Let's say if you're going for franchise of Mobilink or Zong, so it's not that they're going to open that outlet and ask you, KG, from today you are the one responsible for taking care of it. No. They will first engage you in any other franchise that is already fully operational, whereby you will get a chance to deal on the operational side of that franchise. How the SIMs are received, how is their safety and security ensured, how is the accounting handled for that particular franchise, right? How is the cash handled, how are the bank transactions handled, what is the kind of data that is exchanged with the headquarter where you have to report the sales, the daily sales and all. So you get to have this training done. And this is the on-job training bit. And apart from that, you may have to attend few classes there as well, where you will get to know about the key individuals who are going to interact with you during the course of your business. Now this is something that may not necessarily be available with any other independent entrepreneur. And it's not just the start of the business. If there is some introduction of new products or new product lines altogether, even in that case, the training could be ongoing. So before introduction of those products, the franchisee will get a chance, provided that he has got a good franchisor who is focusing on training, he will get the exposure to the products prior to their introduction in market. And this is a huge advantage as compared to an entrepreneur who will be merely following the trend कि यार market में ये चल रही है तो I should start selling this out. Are you getting the idea? समझ आ रही है? Okay. The second is जी brand name appeal, and it's the major advantage of going for a franchise. Golden Arches means which restaurant? 2 golden arches. McDonald's? Wake up, guys. Golden Arches here.
Sir, this is a new terminology for us.
1 arch, 2 arch. Irrespective of where you go, wherever you see these golden arches, you can be assured of one thing, that yes, you will get this kind of quality burger here, right? So you do not have to be, kind of worried about that. पता नहीं अंदर किस तरह की staff होगा, किस तरह की arrangements होंगी. So you get kind of reassurance by merely relating to the brand. And this cloning effect, as long as it is good, as long as your franchise is enjoying a good reputation, it is an advantage. And in other case or otherwise, it can go against your the benefit of your business. Third one, Ji, standardized quality of your products and service. If you buy a SIM card from F6 franchise and if you buy one from Gujar Khan, you can be assured that you're going to enjoy the same quality of service. All of them can offer the same quality of service. If you go to some food outlet in Islamabad, Jhelum, Lahore, Dubai, you can be sure of this product is going to be of that particular standard.
Is this something when the people say that your franchisor McDonald's, it has a different taste than franchisee McDonald's?
You have to explain what do you exactly mean by the franchisor McDonald's here. Silence please.
So जिसका हमने ट्रेडमार्क लिया है,
हाँ.
ठीक है ना, तो हम जिसका हमारे McDonald's का उसका टेस्ट और जो पाकिस्तान में जो जितने भी ओपन है फ्रेंचाइजी McDonald's उनका टेस्ट डिफरेंट है.
But yeah, I can tell you out of experience. I've tasted McDonald's here. I've tasted McDonald's in Middle East. I've tasted McDonald's in Sri Lanka. I've tasted McDonald's in Europe, 3 countries of Europe. And they offer the same boring McDonald's. There's no huge difference in the quality. Yes, there could be a difference, as is the case in India, where they have tried to customize it to the local taste. Yes, they may add a bit of spice, but that would be branded as a separate product offering rather than their standardized patty. Right? In India, they are doing McTikki. Aloo ki tikki say, they have made it McTikki. Now, this is a product that you would not find in Europe. Yes, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि franchisors, whatever product they have come up with, they are going to introduce it throughout the world. They tend to customize their offering according to the market. They won't do beef in India, right? Otherwise, they'll be dead before making any burger, right? So, standardized product quality, standardized service. I'm not going to comment on that since according to the theory, they should be offering the same quality products. They should be. But if there is a difference, then probably they might have come up with 2 categories of product, whereby the high-end products are being sold in the countries where the people can pay more money, and they may have come up with a lower price product line that is being offered to the developing countries, whereby more and more people can buy their product. That's the explanation I guess I can relate to. It is not mandatory by law for a firm to start issuing franchises. Compulsion, it is not compulsion. For instance, you may have come across a brand in bakery called Gourmet, right? If you travel through GT Road, you will find their outlets throughout GT Road and Lahore as their basic concentration area. And they do not give out franchises. All of their outlets are owned by company. They're company-owned outlets. First thing. Secondly, if you wish to buy a franchise from a franchisor, so that you are going to tell कि जी मैं इस location के अंदर operate करना चाह रहा हूँ. So you are going to deal separately with the franchisor. Let's say if Taimur wishes to go to get a franchise of the same firm, he is going to independently deal with the franchisor. So depending upon what numbers of franchises they wish to open, the franchisor needs to have this capacity to be able to engage with multiple. Maybe for in case of McDonald's, you're talking about thousands of franchises. And they have developed their system to an extent where they can easily manage that. Right? And this is a capacity that has been built over time. In case of Pakistan, our franchise model, there have been few people who have tried to come up with these franchises. They failed primarily because they could not ensure standardized quality of product and service. I can tell you my experience. In Lahore, if you ever visit Lahore, apart from KFC, all of the rest of the alphabet letters have been taken with the suffix of FC. AFC, BFC, CFC, till ZFC. Right? There is a one which I guess is little more, at least it used to be little more popular than the rest of the alphabet. That was HFC, that being halal fried chicken. So they opened their outlet in Rawali, near Gujranwala. So I got a chance to go there. And the salesperson there was over enthusiastic, and he told me that, sir, you must try this thing. We have come up with a new recipe. And that was the moment, excuse me, it is the same product that has been advertised. How can you do it with a new recipe? And his response was, sir, our boss was not satisfied with the masala that was being given by the franchisor. So he has come up with his own mix, and we are finding it great. And the feedback from the customer is amazing. That very moment, I knew that franchise was over. Because the whole model of franchise is basically based on offering on standardization of products and services. So if your franchisee is not willing to adhere to the standards that have been given by the franchisor, it's not a franchise anymore, apart from the HFC title that it carries or the menu that it is trying to follow. Sorry? वो entrepreneur ban gaya tha, but creativity is something that is not very welcomed in case of franchises.
So does it matter when you're getting a good feedback from the customers?
Audits are done in franchises, and if the auditor finds non-compliance, he can withdraw that agreement. It is very exclusively written in those agreements, the franchise agreements, that the franchisee, it's not a matter of choice, he has to comply with the standards that have been given out by the franchisor. Next elementary, national advertising programs. An entrepreneur, if he starts his own business, may not necessarily be having financial capacity to advertise his business on PTV or Geo News or ARY. But in case of franchises, the businesses of franchisees are complemented by national advertisement campaigns. For instance, I came across my friend during my last visit to Punjab. I went to Nishat Linen. Turns out that this school class fellow of mine was there with his whole family. His mother was there, his bhabhi was there, his wife was there, and I was surprised that, what are you guys doing here? And turns out that he had actually got the franchise from Nishat Linen. And alongside his shop outlet, there were a few other shops as well, the independent sellers. But when the new volume is introduced in Nishat Linen, he does not have to tell others that ji nayi variety aa gayi. He does not hang any chart that ji nayi variety ke liye tashrif laye. It's being done by the Nishat Linen franchisor. They run national advertisement programs on television as well as on radio, right? And that's a huge advantage, right? But that may be carrying little cost. Apart from your fee and royalty, the franchisor may ask you for a little more percentage out of the revenues as contribution towards that national campaign. It may not necessarily come as free. It's not huge, could be 1%. Financial assistance. Now this is something that is not available with all the franchise setups, but in few cases where the franchise cost is very high, talk about hotels, for instance Marriott, Holiday Inn. So if someone is building a hotel from scratch, he would be needing millions of rupees to construct that, or maybe millions of dollars, right? So this franchisor who is already, let's say, managing 300 or 400 hotels, they know the pattern of spending or the financial requirements of the franchisee that he is going to go through. So what they have done is, okay, rather than letting the franchisees deal with the local banks to get loans, these franchisors have actually established subsidiary financial assistant companies. So let's say if I'm getting the franchise from this hotel group, so they can offer me loan as well. And that would be on much more softer terms as compared to the borrowing that I will otherwise do from the local banks. Right? But this is something that not all the franchises offer. It is usually done by the franchises that require multi-million dollar investment. Interest rate कम होगा, और उसके अलावा the way they understand this spending pattern that you are going to follow, your local bank may not necessarily be that sensitive. Thirdly, ji, again, the next one is the products are proven. You do not have to tell people that the kapda outlet ka is good, right? Yeah, this sim works well. People are already aware about the quality of product and services. You do not have to sell the concept. Centralized buying power. The franchisor, when he does purchasing, he does not do it for a single outlet. He would be maybe doing it for 50 outlets or 500 outlets. So that volume is humongous as compared to a small setup. So the discounts that could be enjoyed by the franchisor are massive. And if he wishes, he can transfer those to franchises as well by changing the formula and reducing the cost structure of the whole financial equation. This is important, G. Site selection. Remember in our first chapter when we were discussing the reason of failures of business, we talked about location, right? Now franchisor already carries huge experience as of in what kind of localities or in what kind of locations particularly their franchises do well. So let's say if you are to open a franchise and you come up with 3 or 4 possible locations, their experts can come down, do analysis and recommend you that this site would be better than others. Right? And this is something that, this is a provision that may not necessarily be available with independent entrepreneurs. But associated challenge is territorial encroachment. What is encroachment? Recently we had a drive in Islamabad when this government came, anti-encroachment drive. One day Taimur feels that we need an outlet of McDonald's near the university. So he goes to Taramri Chowk and finds a good plot out there and he contacts McDonald's, KG, I'm ready to invest, let's do business together. And they agree. So we have these golden arches fixed at Taramri Chowk and we start going there. Now, if Taimur has not signed the territorial encroachment clause in his agreement, and where is Hadi? Absent, ji. Wajiha? Wajiha is again interested in opening a franchise of McDonald's, and she feels that the customer flow is high in this area, so even an outlet right outside Comsats, which is like 300 meters away from Taramni Chowk, she guesses that her business will do well. A McDonald's will be in a win-win situation even if there are 10 outlets, because they are going to get their royalty anyway, be it from Temur or be it from Wajiha. But in this case, if the franchise is awarded to Wajiha, that encroachment has been done on Temur's business. So what we need to do is that if we go for franchise agreements, we need to make sure that it is jotted down in our agreement that in this particular radius, no other outlet of the same franchise would be opened. And it is generally assumed that there are greater chances of success in case of franchises as compared to independent entrepreneurs. Sorry?
One product and business model.
If I come up with a box of McDonald's burger, do I need to explain to you that what kind of burger it is? So you already have an idea, yes, it's at least hygienic. I'm not going to comment on the taste because they do boring burgers throughout the world. But yes, you have the idea of what kind of product that you're...
You mentioned about the discount enjoyed by franchisee something.
Discount?
Sir, आपने कुछ mention किया था कि volume is humongous franchising.
वो centralized buying power की. I was mentioning that let's assume that there are two individuals, two setups. One is a restaurant that is being run by one individual and whose total volume of meat consumption, for instance, is 40 kgs a day. Compare that with the chicken consumption pattern of KFC. So when KFC goes for chicken buying, they do not buy a 40 kilo chicken. They do big deals. And when they deal big, they get to enjoy much better and lucrative discounts as compared to a local shop. And that is an advantage that could be transferred to the franchisees. Drawbacks of franchising. सबसे बड़ा drawback, fee and royalty, and that is something that the independent entrepreneurs need not to worry about. Secondly, ji, strict adherence to the standards. I've already given you example of HFC. McDonald's franchisee cannot take a chance whereby he introduces his own recipe. No. If it gets reported and if it is verified, franchise agreement most probably would be over. At least there will be some severe warnings between the franchisor and franchisee. Restriction on purchasing. Franchisor can ask you or restrict you to buy your supplies or equipments from the particular suppliers designated by him. Although otherwise you may have opportunity to buy equipment and your supplies at much cheaper rate from competitors. But since that clause is usually the part of agreement, you do not have much choice. Remember I gave you example of that Buhler firm, that rice manufacturing company? Yaad hai ki nahi? No? Just to give you a comparison on how different prices could be, my boss at the rice mills, he bought a sick unit which was closed and it was pledged against with a bank, and the bank wanted to get rid of it. So my boss bought this unit, sick unit, and it was originally established by government of Pakistan in era of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto sahab, right? Huge set of 22 acres of land, and The machinery that was installed there was actually done by a German manufacturer called Buller. So when my boss took over that firm, that sick organization, sick firm, the news went out, the vibes were created, and the Buller guys came to know that this plant is going to be refurbished. So they sent us an email offering us to send their commercial manager and an engineer who could do free assessment as of how could we upgrade that plant. So since it was free, we asked them to hop in. So they came down, worked through every machine which was already almost half eaten by rats for the past since it was not operational. So they spent 3 exclusive days analyzing all the machinery and what condition that was in. While we were busy in this assessment, our local supplier was hopping around. And on the last day when we were about to see them off to airport, our local supplier of machinery asked us for a favor. On way back, if you could take this guy to my manufacturing facility, I want to show him few things. That both of those guys agreed to. So on way to Lahore, we stopped at Kamo Ki and went to his factory, जहाँ पे 1.5 गज के जाले लटक रहे थे. So he took us to this room where there was a rice machinery. एक machine का part था एक. So he took off this kapda from that. It was originally manufactured by Buller. So our local supplier tells these Buller guys, this machine has got this fault. So could you verify if it is a fault that is done default, is there by default, or is there some miscalculation, or there's some spoilage in the machine? So just as we have got chassis number for our cars, the machine carries chassis number as well. So he rubbed it off clean and called his head office and talked for around half an hour. And at conclusion of the call, he verified that yes, ये fault इस machine के अंदर by default है और हमें और भी complaints हैं. So this supplier then takes us to another room where 3 replicas of that Buller machine were already manufactured. And there he told that German engineer that how he has removed that fault. And now let me give you a comparison of the prices. If we went for buying that machine from Buller, it would have costed around 6 million rupees. And our local suppliers was delightfully offering that for 600,000 only. 7 lakh versus 6 lakh. And the story does not end there. In case of breakdown, one 30-second call और उसके 2 बंदे with all tools will be on way for repairing the machine if we get it from him. So in case of franchising, this can be very painful. I mean, for instance, if you were to start a restaurant, so if McDonald's asks you to buy from certain supplier, the kitchen setup might cost you millions. और आपको शायद गुजरांवाला से वो 4-5 लाख के अंदर आपका पूरा कस्टमाइज्ड किचन जो है वो आपको बना के दे सकते हैं. You may be a creative franchisee and someone with lots of interesting ideas to add new recipes or new product lines, but in case of franchise, you cannot offer them on your own unless approved by the franchisor. So that would clip your wings when it comes to the business expansion part. Then let's not forget that franchising is basically a time-bound agreement, whereby it is very clearly mentioned that the franchisor has willingly given the franchise for, let's say, 10 years or 25 years. And the contracts are usually subject to renewal. And if the franchisors finds that the non-compliance has been done and the reputation of the franchisor has been put at stake by the franchisee, it would be his right, if he wishes to discontinue that franchise, the franchisee cannot do anything about it. While earlier we were saying that training programs are good, it's an advantage for franchise setups, but if the franchisor has not devised good training programs, it may become a liability. Market saturation, let's say if you are operating an outlet in a particular locality and it is crowded with independent entrepreneurs dealing in the same products, offering the similar products at much lower price. Again, since you are bound by franchisor agreement, you may not have the ability to reduce the prices or increase the variety on your own. And that would restrict your business prospects.
How can they sell it at a lower price, the same products? Are they the same products they have bought from the franchise?
दो चीजें. One thing, replicas. Secondly, there are suppliers who are in good connection with the suppliers of the manufacturers. So they get these exclusive original cloth, let's say, if we take an example of cloth, on a much cheaper rate. So something that is being retailed at the franchise at, let's say, 4,000 rupees, those chaps are able to offer it at, let's say, 2,000 or 2,200 rupees. So it's quite possible. Less freedom, ji. As compared to entrepreneurs, your wings are somehow clipped, and the best term to explain franchisees are, they are prisoners, but they are happy prisoners. जी बेटा कर सकते हैं लेकिन there has to be some serious reason after paying such a hefty fee for cancelling the contract. I mean, your 7 million is at stake if you're going for cancellation. इसका एक portion would be refundable, but not all of it. Right, G, this is self-explanatory. Things that, factors that make franchise appealing. Unique concept, marketing approach, high profitability percentage, registered trademark, an established business format and business system that is known to be working, if it is complementing that with solid training programs, and if the franchise is affordable. And if the franchisor is also keeping good relation with franchisees. Now here are a few interesting concepts. Taimur, we are all assuming that he has won his arrangement of opening McDonald's at Saramdi Chowk, and let's say he does good business out there, and he is satisfied, inshallah, and he is satisfied with his arrangement with the franchisor, and he thinks that why shouldn't I get another franchise from McDonald's at some other location, right? So if he gets another franchise, or even more than two, from the same franchisor, he is going to be considered as someone having multiple unit franchises. But in that case, जबकि आपका franchisor same है, you are not going to call somebody having one McDonald's and one KFC as carrying multiple unit franchise. Secondly, जी, franchising, जी. Not on his own title, but probably on his spouse's or brother's title, that could be done. And that could be a very smart business strategy, whereby you attract customer using the brand, and you have two other shops which are apparently your competitors, but they are actually your family members. That could be a very smart business strategy. International opportunities, Ji. Franchising is a model that makes going international much easier because you have got everything jotted down, standardized, manuals are developed as of how to operate things, how to operate the whole outlet, how to cook, how to deal with customers, each and everything is jotted down. So by merely replicating that in some other location and definitely customizing it according to the local culture, you can go international. Otherwise, internationalizing the business is kind of challenging. Third जी जो trend है, that is smaller non-traditional locations. When McDonald's were introduced in Lahore, I can recall people traveling from JLM to Lahore just to have a bite on that McDonald's burger. And people would initially queue up for hours to taste McDonald's. Can we expect the same behavior by the customers these days? No. Market has somehow become saturated, and now rather than waiting for the customers to come to their star outlets, the major outlets, now what franchisors are doing is that they have started retailing or establishing franchise in non-traditional locations, whereby they can intercept the maximum number of customers at their location. You may have come across these Pizza Hut outlets established in containers. Right? One is right behind 6th Road. And now they have not invested heavily on developing a restaurant. All they have done is taken a container, customized it in a kitchen where they can offer all the pizza offerings, and they've got these plastic chairs lying around. But rather than first planning out that since I want to have pizza, either I have to go to F6 or F10 or maybe somewhere in Beria, anyone in that locality can simply go there and get his pizza from there. And how is that possible? Because small, non-traditional locations are being focused. Railway stations, bus stations, now franchises are trying to focus on these kind of locations. Another interesting trend is conversion franchising. Let's take Mahad in consideration. We are all very well aware about his expertise in gold and jewelry business. Let's assume that Damas, that is a company based in Dubai dealing in jewelry, they wish to establish their business in Pakistan and they want to give out franchises of gold outlets, retail outlets. Mahad, when he sees their advertisement, can go there and ask them, yes, I'm already well established in this business, but I want to become your franchisee. And if they agree, after analyzing his credentials, he will have to give up his own brand name. And he will have to adopt the product offerings that are being offered by Damas. And if he switches to that franchise, he would be considered as converted franchise, whereby already established businesses tend to become franchisees. But in that case, they give up their local offerings and their brand as well. ठीक है जी? And business format भी उसमें शामिल हो सकता है. Master franchising. And this is, by the way, pretty popular in Pakistan. What's happening is individuals with good financial resources, when they are going out of the country, they get to analyze the various franchise options in the developed countries, and they usually contact one franchisor and convince them to open their franchise in Pakistan with a clause. And the clause is, if anyone else in Pakistan wishes to open the franchise of the same franchisor, it would be done through this individual, the first franchisee. Example, Hardee's. Hardee's. If any one of us wishes to open a franchise of Hardee's and he contacts Hardee's, they would ask him to contact this chap based in Gujranwala to deal with the opportunity. And he is the master franchisor for this particular territory.
Basically, he's also franchising.
He is also franchisee, but he is also acting as an agent on behalf of the franchisor. Gloria Jeans also has a master franchisor. So if you wish to go for opening a Gloria Jeans franchise, we will have to deal with the local guy here.
So fee किसके पास जाएगी? Divide.
He will get a kind of a cut out of that whole deal, but the major chunk would go to the franchisor. Piggybacking. क्या होती है जी की piggybacking? Piggybacking? Not saving money. क्यों जी आप कोई भतीजे भांजे भांजियां हैं किसी के कि नहीं? Anybody tried letting them sit over your shoulders? That's a piggyback. All right. In case of franchise, you do not let anybody sit on your shoulders, but what happens is two different franchisors or franchisees who are not in direct competition with each other get into this arrangement that wherever one franchise is opened, he gives a portion of the facility to the other franchise to open their outlet as well. So under one roof, basically you'll find these two outlets working together usually. Example? No. हर जगह पे ऐसे नहीं. ये जो मैं अरेंजमेंट बता रहा हूँ इसमें यूजुअली आप जब उस आउटलेट पे जाएंगे आपको वो दोनों फ्रेंचाइजेस नजर आएंगे मोस्टली. फॉर इंस्टेंस द लेदर पॉइंट is an outlet, shoe outlet that is located on GT Road, and they have got this arrangement with Diners Suiting. So wherever you go to TLP, the leather point, not the Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, usually you'll find a corner where you can buy diner suitings, and it makes a lot of sense. Anybody who's gone there to buy a pair of shoes, on his way out he may be interested in getting a contrasting or matching trouser or shirt, right? And otherwise somebody gone there for buying clothes, and on way out he starts considering buying a pair of shoe or slippers or whatever.
सर दोनों की प्राइसेस में काफी डिफरेंस नहीं है. डाइनर से काफी सस्ता है, लेदर पॉइंट की जो प्रोडक्ट्स काफी एक्सपेंसिव है, वो उससे भी इफेक्ट होता है.
ये shoes are expensive. Shoes सस्ते कहाँ पे? Tell me any outlet, help me find सस्ते shoes. Sunday market. और by the way वहाँ पे भी piggybacking होती है. Usually you find clothing sitting next to shoes.
सर जो DH जो गिगामाला वहाँ सिजल रेस्टोरेंट है ना, सर सिजल रेस्टोरेंट में डिवाइड हो गया है, इनका किचन सेम ही है.
No, that is different. Let me give you a more comprehensive example. Hopefully that would help you understand this concept. Here, Waterstones is a bookstore, and it's a network of bookstores. And usually they've got this huge facility. Side book bank के level का at least उनका setup होता है. Irrespective of what Waterstone store you go into, you are bound to have a Starbucks outlet in that bookstore. Book, coffee. A very clear correlation between these two businesses. Yet, although they are not in direct competition, but they are complementary to each other. बात समझ आ रही है आपको? And that, I guess, would conclude our today's discussion. Thank you very much.